enjoyable modern cars is almost an oxymoron. And I say that as a reviewer of modern cars. It pains me to see where the market is right now due to emissions regulations, due to safety regulations, due to cost cutting as well. And one of the biggest plagues on the interior of a vehicle, in my opinion, in today's modern market is taking away physical controls. You take away my volume knob, and that's reason enough for me to put up the mitts and start a fight. Same thing with climate control. You take away my physical climate control buttons and knobs and dials, it's fighting words. Also, taking buttons off the steering wheel, it's a curse. You also have so many things with cost cutting as putting everything to a touch screen or, removing my analog gauges. I love analog gauges, but, I can make do with making an analog gauge through a digital screen. But what we're seeing now is everyone copying Tesla and everyone copying the manufacturers out of China to reduce costs. All right. So what I have on the screen now is the new Ioniq 5 on the left and the current one on the right. All right. The Ioniq 5 has been out for a few years now. What did it come out as, a 21 model year? 22 model year, something like that. They keep improving it. They keep improving the range, the software, etc. But if Hyundai honestly goes this direction, they are screwed. All right. Their EVs will be less desirable than they are now. But the sad thing is that this is going to affect other vehicles too. However, this is, I believe, the Ioniq 3, all right, which we don't get in the United States. It might come, but they have put touch panels to some extent on the steering wheel. All right, but at least I have a volume knob here, it looks like. I have rotary dial. Well, this is probably the volume knob here. Okay, but I at least have some physical buttons here for climate control and or volume. All right, and I still have a screen back here. It's not awful. These seats are going to get hot. I just drove the new CHR and the XSE trim, and they have suede seats. Those things are going to be wearing sweaters. But at least there's a small screen like the EX90 from Volvo. All right, unlike the EX30, which puts everything in the center screen just like a Tesla. And shout out to Korean Car Blog for getting these images. That's why you see their watermark on the page here. But what Hyundai could potentially do here would be absolutely devastating. The Ioniq 5 and Hyundai's EVs in general are some of my favorite EVs. They still have all the controls that I like. I have a scroll wheel on the steering wheel for volume. I have a volume knob. I even have a tuning knob. I have buttons for shortcuts with the inbuilt software. I have rotary dials for the climate control, and then a dedicated panel for climate control too, a dedicated touch panel. It's not ideal, but it's not bad. It's decent. Guys, look at this. It makes me so mad that in my new updated score sheet on when I review cars, I have climate controls and volume controls as very important aspects of the vehicle. And you can see with my Audi A5 review, like the climate controls got a 1. Okay, that's the worst you can score. 1 out of 5. And it's just really, really unfortunate where Hyundai could be going. And I think it's likely where they are going. Look how how finished this interior is. Because look at the speaker grills, the materials on the door. Okay, and also look, there's a button here. There's a button to exit the door instead of a handle. Look, we have a handle on the current one. That's all being pushed into a button like the, what do you call it? The Genesis G90 sedan. The center area here, there's typically buttons, especially right here. As you can see at the bottom on the other screen, these buttons are all gone now. And this is all due to Hyundai's philosophy with the new Plios software system. Okay, this looks very familiar. I just got out of the new CX-5 for Mazda, and everything's into the touchscreen. There's no volume knob. There's no climate control. It's all built into the touchscreen. And Hyundai is looking to go the same route, but they're taking it a step further and removing the instrument cluster as well. There's no screen here behind the steering wheel to tell you your speed. If I just want a Tesla interior, I'm going to just go buy a Tesla. That's what this interior has become at this point. And it is terrible. Absolutely disgusting. I pray to God that Hyundai does not go this route. I believe Hyundai did recommit back to buttons. Maybe that's on ICE cars and hybrid cars. But again, There have been spy shots of the new Tucson. I'm a little bit worried. I'm a little bit worried about the next gen Tucson if they go this route. I may have given up almost all hope on the new Ioniq 5. Okay, if like this looks very production ready. And look, all the vents now. So the vents are very Tesla style. They're all built up high, which high is good. But look, the screen is so big, you're not going to have airflow to your face. Maybe the idea is that the airflow will go underneath the top of the steering wheel to hit your face. That's a possibility. But I'm not going to say this is a success with the airflow until I experience it. So that might be one asterisk of the improvement in this interior. It could be airflow overall, but the rest of the interior is a complete downgrade. All my buttons, look over here. You know, you have your volume control, your tuning knob. Yeah, they did put a touch panel over here. Touch panel's not terrible, but at least it's dedicated, and I don't have to fiddle with the touch screen like pop-up menus to play with the climate control. Man, and all the buttons have become now what all the buttons now are touch capacitive here on the steering wheel. Besides the scroll wheel and 2 buttons on each side, 2 physical buttons on each side. So they've taken out all these additional buttons on the top and the bottom, which honestly I hardly ever used, but they're there for cruise control. So I'm not that, to be honest, now that I'm looking, I'm not that upset about the steering wheel, because it looks like I'll still have preset functions. I'll still have, the ability to mess with what? Because there's no more MID. If there's no more MID, is this just messing with being able to like adjust some custom features in the middle screen? Because on this model, there's no head-up display here. 0 head-up display. If there's 0 head-up display, all your information comes through the center screen, which, guys, this is not a cheap EV, the Ioniq 5. They've just cheapened it to the point of me not. It went from being one of my favorite EVs on the market to an instant no buy if this is what we have to work with. If this is all that we're given now. They strip us away from an instrument cluster. They strip us away from volume knobs. They strip us away from a camera button, heated and ventilated seat buttons down here, parking buttons. They strip you away from a dedicated climate control area. Now, I just went down the Reddit article discussing this photo here. Some are saying it could be a Waymo variant that is focused on autonomous driving and things like that. That's a possibility. I'm going to say it's not the likely situation. I think the likely situation here is that this is the interior of the Ioniq 5. Some on Reddit were saying, well, the steering wheel buttons, they're blanked out. Well, listen, when the car turns on, these panels here will illuminate, more than likely, for your radar cruise control and things like that. So I'm not like super hating on the steering wheel. I'm hating on the lack of physical climate control. I'm hating on the lack of a volume knob. I'm hating on the lack of all these buttons I have over here, like heated and ventilated seat options, as well as other stuff. Okay, heated seats. I'm hating on the fact that I don't have door handles. Okay, they're push button. And I'm hating on the fact that there's no MID or even head-up display on this model. So while it does look like a nice interior, I need a cockpit. I need button switches and knobs to be able to interact with this vehicle in a safe manner, in a fast manner. I don't want to use voice controls. I don't want to talk to the car. I want to, because talking to the car takes time. Instead of me just buttons done. It's done. It's over. I've already changed the climate control. I've already turned up and down the volume. Okay, it's done. If it's physical. Okay, it's sometimes I don't even have to look away from driving because I know exactly where the button is and I know what it feels like, or the rotary dial. If this is the direction Hyundai is taking, assuming this is not an autonomous driving spec like a Waymo spec or something, if this is the direction they're taking, they're toast. You're not going to out Tesla. Don't cheapen yourself to this level. And if this infiltrates their hybrid models, their ICE models, Hyundai is making a grave mistake. All right, wait for my Mazda CX-5 driving impressions. All right, which will be coming on the 23rd, because in a lot of ways, Mazda took this approach to everything's in the touchscreen, and we do reduce your ability to interact with a car in a physical manner. This one got me fired up. So let me know in the comments if you think this is really the direction of Hyundai is going. And if it is, what do you like about it? What do you hate about it? I'd say overall, there's a lot more things to dislike, because we look at this and this is almost a perfect interior. Almost. The touch panel's a little much. I would prefer it to be with physical climate. You know, Honda's interiors are, I would say, perfect. So if we look at like the Passport's interior here, the Passport's interior I would call nearly perfect. Yes, they could integrate the drive select buttons into a stock, which would free up this area for more space. Okay, but look, rotary dials. Look at this. Fan speed, rotary dial, temperature on each side, real button for heated seats. Okay, there's also a real button for heated steering wheel somewhere in this car. I think it could be over here, but maybe the model I'm looking at is not equipped with it, because sometimes in Hondas they're equipped right here. Okay, volume knob in a great spot. Touchscreen, fine. I have no issues with it. It's not too big. It's not super distracting. Okay, this is about, and look at all the physical buttons on the steering wheel. This is about as perfect as an interior gets from an operability standpoint. And then you look at this and I get anxiety, because I feel like the reins have been taken away from my horse. That's how bad it is. Okay. So let's pray to the gods in South Korea that we can avoid this timeline, this potential timeline coming where all our controls, all our knobs, all our buttons are taken away, all our MIDs are taken away. This is lunacy, in my opinion. Okay. If I wanted a Tesla, I would just go get a Tesla. And this would take, if the Ioniq 5 goes this route, it would make Hyundai's, mass market EV from one of the best to instantly a no buy, in my opinion. And it would be really hard for me to recommend it, especially without an MID or a head-up display standard. That is bonkers. Okay. Am I making too big of a deal out of it? Possibly. But I got to cut myself off, because I don't want to go into any darker places than I already am thinking about the future of cars. They've already gone so far away from, what I fell in love with cars. There are a ton of really amazing modern cars, but it's these trends of simplification, these trends of reducing costs, these trends of X, Y, and Z that have really taken away identity of cars and an interaction that Jimba Atai, that Mazda used to embody. Okay, the horse and rider connection, it's being taken away, and now it's more like just sit back and relax and let the car drive itself. That's the future of cars. And maybe it is the future of cars, but over my dead body. I like driving cars. I don't mind them driving themselves a little bit on the highway. Man, it can help. But in terms of everyday driving, I don't think I'll ever be able to give that up. Maybe I have too much of an old soul in that regard. It looks like Hyundai's just going down the route of simplification, cost cutting, and autonomous driving. Time will tell, though, guys. Time will tell. It's not official. And who knows when this interior would come? 27 model, 28 model? Is it a refresh or is it a redesign? Thank you, guys. Have a great day. And long live the buttons, the instrument panels, and the knobs. Gotta love the knobs. Peace out.